We actually think about it. I'm pretty sure many of you, probably all of you have a smartphone.
Anyone who doesn't have smartphone?
Right? How many of you have more than 10 apps downloaded, installed in your phone? How many of you use more than 5 apps per day? And how many of you have apps that downloaded but never use ever since downloading? There is the point of because having app is being defined by iPhone, Steve Jobs, as a new way of using internet. Therefore, over the past few years, every single company, every single business feel like there is a need for them to come up with their app. But actually, users don't really use that frequently. For instance, I read Wall Street Journal articles from time to time, but I don't really read Wall Street Journal every day. I read Financial Times yesterday, but I'm probably not going to read Financial Times tomorrow. So there is a need to do a bit of an aggregation of content, that goes from digital content, including news, music or video, to service. How many of you are gonna, download an app just to pay your electricity bill?
You probably do.
Right.
We don't have to in China.
But then, this is the things that we define WeChat, right? This is not only about connecting you and your friends, but connecting you with businesses, with services. Therefore, the idea of being a connector, being a platform that really connect everything, I think we started design the app and design the functionality from the outset.
So one of the things we can do is to capitalize on what the computer does have, which is artificial stupidity. Computers make some very weird mistakes, and a lot of those mistakes are very interesting, actually. So one of the things I should have said about technology earlier is that one of the things artists are interested in technologies for is the things that they do that they weren't supposed to do. And in fact, the dominant texture of any era is really captured in the shortcomings of those technologies. For example, if you think of the early 20th century, you'll think of grainy black and white or sepia photographs. Those were limitations. People weren't excited by the fact that they could only do black and white pictures. They wanted to do color, but they couldn't. And similarly, if you think back to the recordings of the 30s, they all sounded like that. And that now becomes the sound of the 1920s and 1930s. So the characteristics of an era are actually to do with the shortcomings of the media of that time.
If you want respect from a niche audience, you need to show them respect. You need to show a true and authentic understanding of their language and of their culture. If you don't do that, you will be, I think it's even worse than just a bad ad. It goes far as they do not understand me and they do not understand or want my dollars. And that's obviously not what we want. Now, when I started at Wieden & Kennedy, I didn't come to that company because I was a great writer. I didn't come to that company because I graduated from a prestigious advertising school. I was hired there because I was creative, but I had extensive experience in a culture that they found a lot of their brands wanted to influence and impact. And because of that, I spoke in a language that a lot of their staff at the time was not proficient in. And so what I would urge many of us in the room to do, those of us who own agencies, those of us who do hiring, hire based on a cultural complexion, not simply an actual complexion. Yes, diversity is a huge issue. We do need more black people, brown people, women, gay people, but I think you have to be intelligent in how you make those hires. Hire culturally, not just racially, for example.
Everyone here must have had the experience of burning toast, right? I will embrace those kind of failures if it's the world's first failure. Make new failures before everyone else in the world. We praise people for being the first in the world to fail at something. Repeating the same failure is not advisable, of course, but coming up with the very first failure is a type of invention. Akio Morita, the co-founder of Sony, said, "Do what you think right to do and fail. You learn from it, but don't make the same mistake again." Another quote from Soichiro Honda, "Do not fear mistakes, fear not to make mistakes."